Do you have missing teeth? Well, if you do, today's video is for you. If you know somebody, listen up. This will be some good information that you can take back and have some opportunities to talk about. You have options, which is always good. And we always want to replace missing teeth too. That's always very important. We'll go through that in a minute. Okay. So why is your tooth missing? Well, did it never come in? Did you have a baby tooth and now the adult tooth is not under that? That would be called a congenitally missing tooth. Did you have some kind of trauma? Did you hit your front of your teeth on an accident or a car accident or something like that when you were younger, or were you wrestling? I've seen patients lose them because they were fighting wrestling with school. Sometimes it's because the tooth was heavily decayed and there was no other option. Sometimes the tooth breaks. Sometimes it fractures and there's nothing that the dentist can do. So you got a missing tooth. So what are we going to do now? We're going to replace that sucker. You know why? Because if we don't replace teeth, your mouth will shift around, and that is not good. So basically, if you lose a tooth and there's a tooth behind it, the tooth behind it eventually is going to move forward. So I've seen teeth actually lay down, like they were like this, now they're like this. So over a period of time, when we're talking about years, the teeth can lay down. The tooth on top, if it's missing its partner now, it's going to keep coming out of the gum. That's called supra-eruption. It's coming out of the gum to meet a partner that's no longer there. And it's not going to be until you replace it. Your tongue, your teeth hold your tongue in space. They help you chew. They help support your tissues, your face. So it's very, very important to replace teeth as often or as fast as you can. Now, the sooner you replace the tooth after you lose it is better. Because believe it or not, when you lose a tooth, that blood supply to that nerve and that tooth is no longer living. So that bone slowly starts to disintegrate and just go away. And that leaves you with less options. And we're going to talk about the 3 options here in just a second. It gives you an idea about how you can replace teeth. Now, don't rule out any option until you talk to your dental provider, your dentist, and make sure that you look at all the options that you have. Implants have not gone up as much as they were, and there's not much difference in price for a couple of these as much as it was. So that's something for you to understand. All right, let's dig in. So first of all, we want to talk about implants. Implants is usually the first option that we'll recommend to patients because it's the one that's most viable. If you can get an implant to stay, it stays. It doesn't depend on teeth around it, and these other 2 options would do that. So, implant. What is a dental implant? A dental implant replaces a missing tooth. Ooh, the wind's bad. So here the picture is the bottom. So if you're having a tooth pulled, and you wanted to go ahead and have the implant put in, sometimes that's feasible, it's depending on your doctor. You'll go in and have a 3D scan done. You want to measure the gum and the bone, height and width. It's got to be high enough and deep enough and wide enough in order to put a post down in there that can support and bear the weight of the pressure that you're going to be chewing. So then if you can get the tooth pulled, get a bone graft in, that helps hold that place safe, helps build that bone so that bone's nice and steady and ready for some implant. Some dentists will go ahead and put an implant in the same day as extraction. That will depend on you and your provider. If you don't, then you'll wait 4 or 5 months likely, and you'll come back and have the post put in. Now, the post, people get really freaked out about putting that post in. That post is less invasive than pulling your tooth and it healing. So don't be worried about putting the post in. It's not as bad as you think. And then it has, once you get the post, then you put the attachment on it. The attachment holds the post and the crown together. The crown is a part of the tooth that you chew with. So when you're getting an estimate for an implant, it's going to be the post, the abutment, which is the attachment, and then it's going to be the crown part that fits on top of it. So this is very important for you to understand. There's a process of this. So if you have a tooth pulled and a bone graft done, they don't put the implant in. You're going to come back in 4 months, 5 months or so, have an implant put in. That implant has got to grow into your bone and be able to support 500 pounds of pressure every day. So then you're going to go another 4 or 5 months, and then you'll come back if everything's healing well, and you'll have the crown put on your tooth. So it's a process, which is also good because when it's a process, you have more time for the financial aspect of it as well. So I always want to make sure patients understand that. All right, cool. Implants, they're awesome. They work great. The success rate is much better than they were just a few years ago. A lot of dentists are doing them. Now general dentists are doing them. And I highly recommend, if you can have an implant put in, to do the implant. If I was going to have a tooth pulled or replaced, I would do an implant first if my bone would allow me to. And gosh, I hope it does. All right, second option is a bridge. And many of you probably have seen or heard about a bridge. So it's just like a bridge, like connecting the water. So you've got 2 main parts that are anchored in there, and you have 1 piece that fits together. This is a 3-unit bridge, so 1, 2, 3 units. It's basically 3 crowns fused together, cemented down on top of a tooth that's prepared for a crown. So you can see basically that's the crown. When you make a crown, you have to, I don't want to say this word, but it's the only one that comes to mind. You have to really perfect and technique, grind the tooth down. I call it a stump. You have to get all the enamel layer off the outside of it, so it's just the crown part, the stump of the tooth, so that the crown can fit down on top of that. Now remember that they have to do this because you have a bite. Your teeth have to fit together a certain way. If they don't, then it's not going to work. So that's why they have to grind them down. But a bridge is a 3 units. Normally you'll come in, this can be done in 2 ways, one of 2 ways. Some dentists will take an impression, they'll send it to the lab, and you'll come back in 2 to 3 weeks and have it delivered. Some dentists are now making them in the office. So you might be able to have the prep done, come back in a day or 2, or unless you want to sit there and wait for it to mill out, and they might be able to mill you out one. So it just depends how big the bridge is and your provider and what they're able to do for you. So this is really option number 2 normally, because it involves other teeth. If this tooth fails, or that tooth fails, or gets a cavity underneath it, you're going to lose at least 1 crown off of that, but most likely the whole thing. So it's important, if you get one of these, that you learn how to clean it. There's a special cleaning piece of tool that you can use that's called a floss threader. We use them when we have braces. They're little blue, I wish I had brought one, a little blue loop that you put your floss into, and you actually fish it down up under this spot, and that's going to help you to clean it. Now I'm concerned as a hygienist about you cleaning this, because if you don't clean it, you're going to have a cavity and you're going to lose it. But I'm worried about the decay and the bone level and the gum healing and tissue beside the natural tooth. So you've got to take care of the natural tooth. Water picking will help you, so that is an option as well. Interproximal brushes can also help you. But do consider how you're going to clean this, and are you generally going to clean that if you get a bridge. Okay? Option number 3. And I'm sure you all have seen these. We know what partials are. There's different kinds. I try to give you a couple of different kinds here on the illustration. So partial is something you're going to remove every time you eat or drink anything besides water, because you see these clasps? Those are round things. They clasp onto your tooth. So guess what gets hung up under there when you eat or drink something? Food, bacteria, sugar, acid. Yes, yes. So we want to make sure you're cleaning these well. So if you're going to get a partial, that is something removable. It is the least invasive as far as changing anything in your mouth. It will hold space. You can replace more than 1 tooth with it, so that's why these are really good. You generally cannot chew on a partial tooth or a denture tooth like you put pressure on your real teeth. So I want you to remember that too. If you like to eat steak and corn on the cob, then I'm not sure this is going to work real well for you. So anyway, making sure you clean it. So which cleaning would be, you would need to let this rest. You need to let your gums rest. So take these out at night when you're sleeping, soak them, get you a nice stiff brush that's not your toothbrush, and brush them in the morning before you take them out to keep them fresh and bacteria free. These collect bacteria just like the our other teeth and your implant would. So you've got to make sure that you keep these clean. Insurance will generally pay for dentures every 5 to 10 years depending on your insurance. And there's different options. So there's an option, I don't have a picture of it, but there's an option where they have, it's all acrylic, so they don't have any metal at all on it, which is good. So remember that this metal will be more conductive on the top to make you feel like you have natural up there, natural tissue, versus if you had acrylic, that would be hard, that plastic would be hard for you to really feel the roof of your mouth. So these are considerations. But you have to have good teeth in order to hold a partial in too. So which option would you think would be best for you? I'm not going to give you an estimate on prices because I don't know where you're watching this from. But I think you should always go in and explore all your options. Always look at all the options you have. And make sure that you make the best one, the best choice for you. I hope this helps, guys. I'm Becky Moore with Restart Hygiene. Had a blast. I hope you enjoyed the view behind me. This is our pond here in North Carolina. We got some fish out here. We actually swim in this in the summertime, so we have a good time. And finally, it's rained enough where it's actually coming up high enough where we probably can swim out here next year. And yes, we do see snakes sometimes, but there's so many of us out here when we're out here that they're not gonna bother us. Anyway, I think you think I'm crazy. I don't swim when I see a snake, just to be clear about that. But anyway, y'all have a great day. Come back again, I'll give you some more information, and thank you for following me. And if you like this and want more information, then hang in there, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.